Owen Hensley adjusted his tie, the silk glinting under the fluorescent lights of the airport lounge. His tailored suit hugged his frame like a second skin, exuding power and confidence. He surveyed the crowd, a sea of travelers with rumpled shirts and worn-out shoes, and smirked. Look at them, he thought. They'd never understand the sacrifices I've made to sit here in first class. As he walked to the boarding gate, he spotted a man seated beside him, a casual, bespectacled fellow in a faded t-shirt and jeans that looked as if they had seen better days. Owen's lip curled slightly. This is first class, not a college dorm, he muttered under his breath, taking his seat with an exaggerated huff. Mr. Alfred, as the man was named, glanced up from his dog-eared paperback, a hint of amusement flickering in his eyes. Long flight, he asked, his voice warm and engaging. Not nearly long enough to accommodate the likes of you, Owen replied, a smug smile plastered across his face. I can't imagine how someone like you could afford a ticket up here. Did you find a coupon? The corners of Mr. Alfred's mouth twitched, but he maintained his composure. You'd be surprised what a good investment can do for your travel plans, he replied, turning back to his book. Owen rolled his eyes, the disdain bubbling beneath his polished exterior. He leaned back, arms crossed, sinking into the plush seat as he watched the flight attendants bustle about, their smiles bright and genuine. Must be nice to have that kind of charm, he thought derisively. But charm doesn't pay the bills. As the plane began to taxi, Owen settled in, tapping his fingers impatiently against the armrest. I hope the service is better than the company, he scoffed, loud enough for Mr. Alfred to hear. I've always found that kindness goes a long way, Mr. Alfred said, still focused on his book. The serenity in his tone only seemed to irritate Owen more. Kindness? Owen snorted. In business, it's all about the bottom line. You can't be kind and get ahead. It's a dog-eat-dog world, my friend. Perhaps, Mr. Alfred replied, finally closing his book and looking directly at Owen. But have you ever thought that maybe treating people well could be the best strategy? You never know who you might be sitting next to. Owen scoffed again, dismissing the notion. I'm not losing sleep over the opinions of people who dress like they just rolled out of bed. The flight attendants began their service, offering drinks and snacks. When Mr. Alfred ordered a glass of champagne, Owen raised an eyebrow. Fancy taste for a casual guy, he said, his voice dripped with sarcasm. Mr. Alfred just smiled, taking a sip as if savoring every drop. You'd be surprised how often appearances can mislead. Owen rolled his eyes and turned his attention to the in-flight magazine, though he couldn't help but sneak glances at Mr. Alfred. The man radiated a calmness that Owen found unsettling. It was an indifference to his snobbery that gnawed at him. As the flight progressed, Owen noticed the crew treating Mr. Alfred with an air of reverence. They called him by name, asked about his family, and even brought him extra snacks. A twinge of discomfort twisted in Owen's gut. What is this, he thought? Some sort of inside joke? Enjoying the view? Mr. Alfred asked, breaking through Owen's spiraling thoughts. Just trying to understand how someone like you gets that kind of attention, Owen replied, forcing a chuckle. Must be nice to have connections. You could say that, Mr. Alfred said, tilting his head slightly. But it's not just about connections. It's about how you treat people. You'd be surprised at how far a little kindness can go. Kindness doesn't build empires, Owen shot back, his voice sharper now. Success is about ambition and ruthlessness. Is it really? Mr. Alfred asked, a twinkle in his eye. Tell me, what have you built with that ambition? Friends? Family? Owen bristled. He had friends, didn't he? They just didn't understand him like he understood himself. I don't have time for distractions, he replied, a hint of defensiveness creeping into his tone. Mr. Alfred studied him for a moment, then smiled. You're missing the point. Life isn't just a series of transactions. It's about the people you meet along the way. Even in business. What do you know about my life? Owen shot back, his voice rising. You think you can just sit there in your jeans and lecture me on success? Mr. Alfred's demeanor shifted, the lightness in his voice fading. "You're right. I don't know your life, but I do know that people often wear masks to hide their insecurities. What's behind yours?" Owen gaped at him, a mix of anger and confusion swirling within him. How dare this man pry into his life? "You don't know me," he spat, his heart racing. "I've worked hard for everything I have. I don't need some nobody telling me how to live." The cabin fell silent, the tension palpable, the flight attendants moving cautiously around them. Mr. Alfred's gaze didn't waver. "You're right. I don't know you, but I can see you're struggling with something more than just my presence here." Owen's fist clenched. "You're just a casual guy with a book. What do you know about struggle?" "More than you think," Mr. Alfred replied quietly. "I've built my company from the ground up just like you. But I've also learned that true success isn't just about the numbers. It's about the people you uplift along the way." Owen stared at him, dumbfounded. A part of him wanted to retort, to lash out and defend his worldview. But another part, the part that had been quietly aching for connection, felt a flicker of vulnerability. "People? Uplift?" Owen scoffed, but the bravado was fading. "You think you can just throw those words around?" "Words matter," Mr. Alfred said firmly, leaning in. "They shape our reality. Treat others with respect, and you'll find respect in return. I'm not here to preach. I just hope you'll consider it." The plane hit a pocket of turbulence, causing Owen to grip the armrest tightly, his facade cracking further. The flight attendants rushed to secure the cabin, and amidst the chaos, Owen's mind raced. Did he want to be the man who dismissed others based on appearances? As the flight leveled out, Owen turned to Mr. Alfred, the conflict within him boiling over. "What if I want to be ruthless? What if that's what it takes?" "Then you'll be alone at the top," Mr. Alfred replied, a somber note in his voice. "And when you look around, you'll find no one there to share it with." Silence enveloped them, the hum of the engines filling the void. Owen felt the weight of the truth settle in his chest, a realization that left him exposed. He started, but the words caught in his throat. "I've worked hard for my success. I thought that's all that mattered." Mr. Alfred nodded, his expression empathetic. "It's okay to want success. Just remember to bring others along for the ride. You'll find joy in lifting others up." The flight attendants returned, breaking the tension that had hung in the air. Owen took a deep breath, the clarity of the moment illuminating his thoughts. He noticed Mr. Alfred engaging with a couple of other passengers, sharing a laugh, and the crew rallying around him with genuine warmth. "Maybe you're right," Owen said at last, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've been so focused on my career that I've forgotten about the people in my life." Mr. Alfred smiled a slow, understanding grin. "It's never too late to change course. You can redefine your success." As the flight continued, Owen found himself watching Mr. Alfred interact with those around him. The laughter, the camaraderie, it was infectious. For the first time, Owen felt a pang of longing, a desire to connect rather than judge. By the time they landed, Owen had made a decision. He was going to reach out to the friends he had pushed away during his relentless pursuit of success. Maybe it was time to take a page from Mr. Alfred's book of kindness. As they exited the plane, Owen turned to Mr. Alfred, who was gathering his belongings. "Thank you," he said, sincerity threading through his voice. "I didn't realize how limited my view had become." Mr. Alfred met his gaze, a spark of respect in his eyes. "It's all about perspective, Owen. Keep an open mind and you'll find depth in every interaction." "Maybe we can have a drink sometime," Owen suggested, a hint of hope threading through his words. "I'd like to hear more about your investments." Mr. Alfred chuckled, the sound rich and genuine. "I'd like that. And who knows? You might just learn a thing or two about kindness along the way." As they walked through the terminal, Owen felt lighter, the weight of his biases falling away. The world looked different now, vibrant and full of possibility. Perhaps, for the first time, he was ready to embrace it.